single parents should handle sibling rivalry. Thanks for the good insights you continue to bring. That is Wangoi. And somebody here says, my wife's silence is breaking our marriage. Any attempt to communicate anything leads to nothing. We need counseling. How do I convince her that we go for counseling to save this marriage? Please help. Janet.
Right, Hussein. The last question that you read, I actually had it here as well about the silence. So we'll go back to that in just a moment. I don't know at what point I'll be able to read what it is that brings. Okay, right. So my director says I have permission to stand and take you through what it is that brings families together, because earlier on we showed you factors that, you know, tear families apart. This is really just a guide. Nothing is cast in stone. This is really advice as people go along. Eating dinner as a family, creating rituals and traditions as a family, things that are unique to you, supporting each other, being there for one another, learning how to manage different crises as well. Let's see if we have anything else on factors that bring families together. How to improve a family's quality time. Only cook one day a week, meaning if you're someone who's constantly going home from the office and is always making a meal, limited to once a week, although that really depends. Some people aren't able to do that. Work 4 to 5 days a week. Again, I think this depends on the schedule or the kind of work that you have. Make a family to-do list, things that you need to do with your family so that you can remind yourselves. And then I think we had a few more. Reserve one day of the week for the family, whether it's Friday, whether it's Saturday, or whether it's Sunday. That's the advice that's over here. Make family time active time. Do something fun and interesting together. That's quality time. And create new traditions within your family. That's something that we touched on earlier on as well. So that's just a little insight into some of the things that you could do starting today. It's nothing that's too scientific or technical, so it's something that you can actually implement right now. And maybe we can again turn to the family that we have right now, and I could ask you, what's worked for you from everything that we've listed? What is it that's really worked for you as a family, would you say?
Okay, having time together.
Mm-hmm.
We usually plan a family outing.
Okay. How often?
Okay, twice a year.
Okay.
We go out of Nairobi, and all of us are together, even the ones who are aware. We book them in advance. And then,
or the ones who are hesitating and saying we had other plans.
Did you have the one book them?
Okay, yes.
We recognize the stage they are in.
Yes.
So we tell them in advance, and we go out as a family. And while we are there, we share a lot.
Okay.
We share the likes and the dislikes of each. And there, as parents, we are able to get the feelings of our children.
Okay.
But before that, we agree with Mr. Njoroge.
Okay.
Remember, Janet, we are outside our comfort zone. At home, eh? We are out there. It could be Mombasa, Nakuru, you know, towards mostly at the end of the year. And these are the times when we really have to bond. Bond in such a way that, remember, some of them are not staying at home. They have left home. They have their own small home somewhere. So when they come home, this is the time now. The big home.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd like to hear from you, Elisha. Yeah.
In fact, she talked about booking. I remember some time back last year, I got a call from mom. And this date, please don't book yourself for anything. So that's family time and that's our time. So I have to respect that.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, it all boils down to the family. Yeah.
Okay, it's good. And obviously, sometimes maybe when you're out there, there are things that come up that are a bit tricky or really difficult to tread. How do you cross that bridge when someone comes and says, I'm irritated by this? I think you touched on it, that you put it on the table and resolve it. But what happens when it's proving tricky? How do you continue to remain persistent until it's resolved? What's the one trick that you
remember,
would say?
Janet, at the, earlier on we had said 10-10.
Yeah, the 10-10.
This 10-10 is purely between me and her. So that if there are issues, we have to talk about it.
Okay.
Yes.
Even with your children?
No.
What do you apply to them?
At that time, we are only. These are now critical issues.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now we have our 10-10 moment alone. Maybe in the bedroom, maybe somewhere outside. Maybe sometimes we are out of the house.
Okay. Because
all the children are at home, and from there we come out with a solution.
Okay.
How we are going to deal with this.
With this. Okay. So it spills over. I think I understand we have some tweets and questions. We also have some on SMS. We'd really like to see how much ground we can cover. at Omweri_Robin says, how do you deal with cross-cultural issues in families? Okay, good question. We'll send that to the panel. At Boniface comment says, how can family members fight without damaging their bond? Okay. Do we have another one? In some homes, religion has been a dividing factor. How do you address that? Can we pause it there so that we can answer some of the questions? Right, so we'll come back to that. And I know, of course, Mr. Ringo will also ask you. So what was our cross-cultural issues? Religion and I think, and fighting. Okay, cross-cultural. Have you dealt with that before?
Yeah.
You did. I think you mentioned very, very early on in your...
Yeah, the origins. I think one way or another it affected us, but we managed.
Okay, this was before you were married?
No. Yeah. Immediately we got married.
Okay.
Just because of our origins.
Okay, what was it?
Okay, I come from Kiambu. He comes from Muranga. That's an issue, which I was not aware.
Okay.
Because there are social norms. But we were able to deal. It was not easy, but because of sharing. And I remember he used to encourage me. Together we stand. Apart we fall. I remember that. He used to tell me so much.
Oh, wow.
Okay. It was very encouraging, and it made all the difference. And also, through mentoring, it made a lot of difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. The fact that she says he encouraged me.
Yeah.
I think many times couples don't realize the power of having a friend in your partner. You see, maybe some relatives from her side had this hard stance. You are our ambassador in that home. Ensure our culture prevails. But for him, the fact that he pushed and kept on saying, now we are one. We're going to fight this as a team. Building the teamwork. Because if you allow a crack, to, some external forces to manipulate, that divides this team, then there's trouble. So how do you believe in each other enough to say we are a team? We're going to work this as a team.
Right. Very powerful. Let's go to religion, where some people say sometimes it divides more than it unites. How do you manage religion? I know you said you're prayerful. Elisha also mentioned that. How do you manage it without making it something that can divide the family?
Okay, that is very good. And I agree it affects a relationship. I think it all comes back to communication. And also doing things at the right time. And also sharing the purpose of that prayer. And of course, our experience is that you know how to balance.
Thank you.
Because when you give it out on one side, it will affect the family.
Okay.
But it's a learning process. Yeah.
Okay. Right. For you, you've probably dealt with that as well?
I've dealt with that, Janet. I met a husband whose challenge was, this wife of mine is sold to the church. Sold to the church in the sense that she wakes up and thinks church groups. I can't count on her for 4 days of a week. And then there are those spiritual retreats. This guy is not born again. For crying out loud, she's enjoying her spiritual high. This guy is dry. And so he reached a point whereby the church now becomes an enemy, has taken away my wife. And so I like what Mom said, that there is a balance. How then do we say to this lady, well, my word was, you really love what you're doing, but you love this man enough to slow down for him.
Okay.
Bring him along. You'd be shocked how beautiful those retreats would be if he was coming along with you.
That's really good advice. I know we have so many questions and so little time. Earlier on, Hussein had raised an SMS about what happens when you've raised your children the best way you can, and then they say they hate you. What do you do?
I think, Janet, here, the issue is we cannot all be the same. Meaning we are not the same age group. A child comes, he says he hates you, she hates you, you're not good. We cannot all be the same. One of us has to understand that he's the parent. And the other one, you have to give way. Let him or her air out herself. Let him pour out.
And say where it's stemming from.
Exactly. And then from there, you'll know exactly where this heart is coming from.
Okay. Let me ask another question to the two of you, and I want to hear Elisha's answer on this. The main reason why we wanted to do this is because it's a holiday, and a lot of the times, families are feeling like the children would rather do anything other than spend time together. When do you think is the time where you can say, okay, I think we can allow them to go their own way, or they have to come together right now? How do you allow for them to still have their own life without forcing them and making them feel like family time is being forced on me and I can't stand it? How do you find that balance? And then Elisha, you can talk from that perspective of as a son. Are there times when you just roll your eyes and you're like, man, I don't need this again?
Maybe you have a special date with someone.
Yeah, special dates, maybe. You have to cancel your date.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you say? How do you find that balance?
Well, I know I have to draw a line. When I want him to, at the family level, I have to draw a line and make him know such and such a date, we are doing X, Y, Z. Remember, they are young adults, and we have to treat them as such. And when you book them, it will appear like you are booking them, but actually you are giving them also space.
Okay.
So that by giving them space, they also give you space.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like how you use the word book.
Yeah, I was interested in that.
When you book them, yes.
I think for my case, it's about communication. So, for example, if we are to have a get-together in 2 weeks' time, mom will tell me or dad will tell me, depending on their schedule and everything, so that by on Saturday, the last week of September, I'll be going to Shosho's place or my auntie's place.
So communicate in advance.
Communicating in advance, but there's some special cases. Some things just don't require early communication. If it's an emergency, then I have to step in.
All right, no problem. We have more questions, I understand. Let's see what we have on Twitter. We had more questions coming in. Okay, in pursuit of wealth, we end up forgetting about affection. How do we overcome that? All right, next. Let's encourage teachers to be close to the students in order to counter such cases. Okay. Why do I have a feeling that was from last week? But okay. So in pursuit of wealth, interesting. Maybe something that you've come across. And actually, some of the SMSs that I have here talk about that. Someone saying, you know, my husband seems to spend more time worrying about building his career than worrying about his 2 sons who are now crying for help. What do we do?
I think, Janet, for me, I've come in contact with enough families who the challenge is, while one side feels that this is good for the family, my pursuit of the extra coin, long term, they are forgetting that while building the future, the present is at stake. And that becomes a major thorn in the flesh of this family. That yes, it's true, you blew your 1 million deal, whatever, 10 million deal. You come home to a wife who is so disinterested, distasted with whatever. The day you build your empire, you are alone. And that breaks my heart. When I reach a scenario whereby it's a joy that should be shared by all. But people are aloof. They're thinking, oh, you went out for the last 10 years, you did a great job in your international job. You get a great title it is, but nothing to show for it.
What do you have to show for it?
You are excited alone.
Okay, so make sure you...
Success that becomes lonely.
So make sure you rope them in.
Bring guys along.
Another question. I've been married for the last 10 years. My husband works in Mombasa. I'm in Nairobi. I'm working as well. But he has to be reminded to call our children. That still hasn't changed, and I'm almost calling it quits. And I'm throwing this to you because you mentioned there's a time you weren't even, you were working outside or coming back and forth. So
during our earlier time in marriage, most of the time I was out in the field. Sometimes up to a month, sometimes few weeks. And in all these weeks, I will talk literally to each member of the family, starting with the small one up to their mom.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yes. Whatever they want to tell me, they'll tell me. And I'll find time over the weekend to come home.
Okay.
I'm speaking this because I know many people out there are going through the same thing. And then there comes a time when you have to choose, are we going to relocate to Mombasa because this is where most of our interests are. So again, sacrifice has to come in.
Okay.
So for that particular couple, I will urge them to see where are their interests based.
Okay.
Then they relocate to that place.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Again, we have to take another short break. We'll come back with some of your comments as well as we wind up. And Hussein Mohammed will also join me as we read some more of your feedback. Stay with Monday Special.